The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Quirky Dog Podcast, inspired by some of the quirkiest dogs you can ever imagine and the owners who love them. This podcast is brought to you by the quirky couple themselves, Scott and Jess Williams. Their aim is to educate and entertain. Here's Scott and Jess.
Welcome, guys, and happy Wednesday. We're coming to you live from Salem, New Hampshire, right above Two Guys Smoke Shop. And we have a very special guest today. We have Cami Bird with us, who is a representative of Wavoto, and she just designed our new Quirky Dog website. So we're super excited to launch that. But first, we're going to start with the quirky tip of the day. Look at the piggy. All right, the quirky tip of the day is, if you're not already familiar with Wavoto, check them out. They are a website building company. They have a lot of great tools that come along with their website build, and they're a little bit more affordable than some of the other competitors out there. So we're going to dive deep into that today. And also, we have Trixie, who's Cami's little corgi. She's so cute.
We're waiting for her to attack Jess.
They're kind of like our neighbors almost.
You are.
Yeah.
Neighbors and clients.
This was a fun way to do it, because Cami, you guys needed dog training.
Yep.
And then Cami does website stuff, and now it's been a whole thing. Trixie stays at our house when they go away. Cami does our web stuff. It's really worked out well. It's quite the symbiotic relationship.
I would like to add that we had several people work on our website before we met Cami, and it was such a disaster that when Cami said, well, I do websites, I was just thinking, no, not again. Not again. Oh, my God. We've had so much trouble.
You just know where I live, so if I do a bad job, it's not going to end well.
But you're very adept at what you do, which is important with web design. So we appreciate that greatly. And Scott doesn't even want to be here the whole time. Him and Trixie are going to go hang out because we're going to get all super techie.
Well, these two have been working together on this whole thing, and I've been out of the loop.
And we've been fasting since Monday now. We haven't had any solid food, so he's a little bit
nothing to do with it at all.
All right, I'm going to give you Trixie, and Cami and I are going to talk this up. I know you're going to go with Scotty. It'll be fun. All right, hold on. I got to put you down, not unplug my mic. Great. All right, you got her? Yep. Good. Okay, so I want to talk about a little bit why Wavoto is really one of the best options, and kind of your history with the company and everything else, because I was really excited to learn about the company, and I love the site. It looks freaking great. Thanks.
You're welcome. Well, I've been working with Wavoto since 2016, and I got introduced to the platform and the company because another one of my clients I was working with, we were building a new website, and she was like, we got to get on Wavoto. And at that time, I had a lot of experience with other platforms, and I was like, no, we got to be on WordPress.
It's the only place to be.
Yes, and she was like, well, if you want to do WordPress, we won't be working together. And I was like, okay, so that makes the decision. So I got introduced to Wavoto, and I've been working with them ever since. When I started working with them with this particular client, they reached out and they're like, hey, we see you're good at marketing. You want to come help us? And I was like, sure. So it's just been going on ever since then.
Yeah, and Cami, really, if you do look into the company, I mean, she does a lot of the YouTube videos. I was doing some of the tutorials yesterday, and I'm like, oh my God, it's your voice. Like, it really is. Like, Cami is there with you every step of the way. And I have some experience with ClickFunnels and building ClickFunnels, and then I've also done some WordPress stuff using, like, Divi. I can't do, like, the back-end crazy stuff. But kind of explain some of the Wavoto challenges or the ease dealing with Wavoto versus some other companies in that regard.
Yeah, so obviously I am a marketer, I'm a website builder, so I have a lot of familiarity with a lot of the different platforms out there, and I see the benefits of all of these different pieces. But a big downside, especially with my first client who was like, I don't want to do WordPress is really the back end of everything that you're doing on a website. You then have to have your theme, and then you have to use plugins to connect it to any sort of online marketing piece whatsoever. If you want to use forms, there's just so many pieces you have to customize that it's hard to keep track of it all. And so that's where Wavoto comes in. So instead of having to get all of these different platforms you have to puzzle piece together, Wavoto's like, no, we're going to keep it all under one roof. So you have your website builder, you have your email marketing, you have text messaging, you have forms built in, you have funnel builder. I could literally keep going on until I'm blue in the face because that's how many things are included. And it's really solving that problem that especially entrepreneurs and small businesses have of you are not a digital marketer, nor do you want to be a digital marketer.
Yeah.
You just want something that works. And so that's where Wavoto came in.
Well, and the price point was attractive to me too, because not only, I mean, Cami was kind enough to build our site and it's looking great and I love it. And the link today is through the Wavoto site, but once the Ssl Cert clears, it's all been kind of down to the deadline here, the quirkydog.com will be live and it will redirect to that site. But this site is only costing us currently $17 a month.
Yep.
Which is super affordable because my buy-in for ClickFunnels is $97 a month. And I like ClickFunnels for what it can do and for the platform and everything else, but it's a much cheaper point of entry. And then also the site design is pretty simple for new people, right? Like you don't have to be an expert about this. So explain that a little bit, because I think the techie stuff really freaks people out, right?
Yeah, for sure, which I totally understand. I literally, before we started this, I was like, I don't like speaking poorly of other platforms. And all I'm doing is like, WordPress sucks, which I don't believe. WordPress has its place. But one of the downsides of WordPress and a lot of these other website platforms is you have to buy a theme or use a free theme. And that's the basis of your entire website. It's really hard to differentiate off of that theme unless you know how to code. And why did you get a theme? Because you don't want to code.
Yeah.
I don't know how to code. I'm not going to get into that. That is another thing that differentiates Wavoto. While we have some paid themes that give you a really great starting point, you don't have to buy a theme in order to get started on Wavoto. You can fully customize. So the Quirky Dog website, you can go see it. It's just the base theme that I've completely customized for the Quirky Dog podcast. So there's no additional cost there whatsoever.
Yeah, and I like the fact that, I mean, people are like, oh, how much is it going to cost me per month or per year? But also, if you can design it yourself, you're saving some big money up front. Because I've had like some nicer friends or clients design sites for us, between $500 and $1,000, and that these days is like a steal. But you go to web design places, and you're going to easily be paying $5,000 to $7,000 a site.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
And then, if you ever want to make changes to it, you got to go back to them because you don't know how to make any of the changes because they're probably custom coded in.
Yeah, you always need to be emailing the web person. I lose all my web people. Maybe I email too often, but Cami and I are good so far, at least. And then talk a little bit about how Wavoto provides like the secure site and everything else, because that's something that people get concerned about if they're bringing a domain from somewhere else. You guys like domains coming from GoDaddy, but you can buy domains from a whole host of organizations these days. So explain a little bit about how Wavoto will just help make that as seamless as possible for users.
Yeah, so the one thing we say at Wavoto, you don't have to come in with anything except a domain. That's the one thing we won't provide, and we do that as a courtesy to you, because if you ever wanted to leave Wavoto or your business shut down or all the disaster things that we're going to keep away from, you can leave and it not be an issue. Whereas if you buy a domain from another website provider, okay, what happens if you want to leave that website provider? You're kind of stuck in that weird transition period. So we say come in with a domain, but you don't have to come in with an Ssl Cert. So what is an Ssl Cert, right? We love acronyms in marketing.
It's that HTTPS://
Yes, it's that security. So if you've ever gone to a website and you get that like Google notification of like, this site's not secure, your Ssl Cert makes your site secure. And so it makes it better for people to go to your site and know that their information is protected. We provide that for you for free on Wavoto. The only thing, and this is where Jess is right now, is we
gotta wait for it to come through.
Yes, we literally manually make sure that, okay, this site is legit, no one's trying to scam anyone, and then we make sure your Ssl Cert is set up. And so,
but it's a really important thing. It builds not only the SEO of your website, but a lot of users that show up and they're like, oh, your privacy may not be protected. Like, you don't want that to be the face of your business at all. And then the other thing that's super important is some people that are listening maybe have been dog trainers for decades, right? But sometimes freshening things up like builds a whole new perspective on stuff. So I do like the idea of wherever you started, you can go and play around with Wavoto, and we're even giving a like free 30-day thing in this, right? Like, so if you type in Quirky 30, you can get a 30-day free trial and go play around with stuff. But it's a way to brighten things up. Like, use those higher quality photos for Christ's sake, you can go and get the portrait photos now on the iPhone, and they're like as good as any website photo used to be, just to give everything a new look. And maybe in the meantime, you'd save more money. But for us, it's been great for rebranding because it's a way to say like, hey, we're still the same us, but look at the new fresh look. And it gets more eyes and more people and more excitement and everything else. So I would encourage you guys, even if you do have a fully functional website, maybe to just go play around with some new stuff, some new fun colors, some more updates. And you guys are constantly updating. That's something else else I really like about you guys as a company. You're always like progressing to the next level. It's not like when you just started working there, it's the same as it was then. You're always trying to up your game. Yeah. And Wavoto's getting a lot more popular too. I see a lot of big companies jumping on board. doTERRA is all Wavoto from what I've seen. And a lot of people are like jumping ship and trying it out. And so far, it's been a great experience for us. The proof will be in the pudding this week because I have to go and input the next episode and everything else. Thank God for Cami, because once we had 130 plus episodes, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, quell this, I can't do it. So Cami's got me jump started, but I will do some tutorials this week for you guys, like a quick 30-second to 1-minute video to show you next week. Like, hey, it was pretty simple for me too. And I'm not that well versed. I do have some ClickFunnels experience. Like I said, I have done some WordPress stuff with Divi, none of the back-end coding stuff, but I'm not like this huge techie guru. Like, I'm a dog trainer for a living. So the proof will be in the pudding once I go through it.
Yes.
I'll be texting my neighbor, Cami, come help. But really, the tutorials alone, and I realized this last night as I was doing some of the back-end stuff, everything you guys kind of provide step-by-step instruction. Yes. And it's not hand-holding, it's useful information, and it's not, go to this YouTube video and do this. All right, real quick, we're going to go to break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about the joys of Wavoto.
Want to keep up with all the latest from the Quirky Dog Podcast like me and Murphy here? Then make sure you head on over to the YouTube channel and subscribe. Or if you prefer to listen to the madness, go on over to iTunes or Spotify and follow the Quirky Dog Podcast. And hey, while you're there, leave a rating and review and let them know what you think of the show. Until then, keep it quirky.
All right, I love our new commercial too. It's a whole big day. It's a girl power day going on. That was our producer, Chrissy, and her cute little dog, Murphy. They're always here when we podcast, so I appreciate the new commercial as well. We're all about female voices on the Quirky Dog, but we didn't kick Scott out. He actually wanted to go and sit with the Corgi today. All right, so what else do people need to know if they're just jumping into this? They maybe click the Wavoto link to check things out. What are some things that they just should know going in?
So the thing that we always get feedback from time and time again is our outstanding customer support. So there's a lot of different ways you get support as you're growing. And as companies get bigger, that support tends to kind of dissipate. And so at Wavoto, that's something we like to focus on. I always like to say I'm a terrible salesman because I'm focusing so much on what the individual needs that I'm like, you know what, I probably should sell you on this plan,
but this might be better.
And that's literally what I did with Jess. I was like, you should probably be on this plan, but I'm going to put you on the $17 one, and you can grow into it because that's what we want you to do. We want you to see your success and then be like, great, now I've had too much success. Let's upgrade.
Yeah, no, it's true. And let's talk about that because we're on the $17 a month plan, but there's a few other options too. So if you could just go through the tiers real quick so people are aware of what could be offered and price points.
So we have 4 different tiers. We have the $17 plan, which offers you about 4 web pages, and you can send newsletters and autoresponders and have a funnel. If you're like, I don't even know what those words mean, you don't need to because we provide education along with your website building. We have a whole program called Business in a Box that's available for every single one of these plans that walks through, okay, if you're on this plan, you're probably looking to accomplish these things. Here's how you do it. Here's why you want to do it. Here's how they all connect so that you can have that hands-on support. And then if you ever have a question, you can open a support ticket, and our support team, which is oddly made up completely of women named Tracy.
All Tracys.
They're all Tracys.
But very helpful Tracys.
A Tracy will help you.
One of them.
It's a fun joke we have. We literally said we can't hire any more support unless they're named Tracy.
You could have a male Tracy too, as long as it's just Tracy.
There's no discrimination. So that's the $17 plan. And then if you're like, okay, I'm hitting some ceilings, and that's where Jess and Scott are going to be. They already have 4 pages, so if they want to add one more, they got to upgrade.
Bump up,
And so that puts them on the $47 plan, and that allows for just even more access to all of the resources. It's not that you aren't able to utilize all the resources on all the plans. It's more the plans are growing with you. So after the $47, we have a $97 plan, and that gives you access additionally to a membership area as well as a web store and courses. And then we have a $197 plan, which we essentially just call the unlimited plan because we don't put limitations on you, whether that's emails or web pages or courses or a web store, whatever you want to utilize, you can utilize, and you're not going to have limitations on it.
Yeah, but it gives you a lot of different price points and a lot of bang for your buck from what I've seen. Like, it's really impressive how these things build. And then, like with everything, if you do the buy 12 months at a time, you get a little bit free. Like, something's a little bit discounted if you jump in full-fledged. So we're on the $17 a month plan, but we're going to keep the site. We're very excited about the site. It's nice to have an episode log. And the way Cami did that for us is there's a YouTube embed for every single episode. There's the Podbean, Audible. And then I'm going to go through, I love Searchy and Stu McLaren and his site. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to actually do transcripts for every single episode as well. So once I get those going, we'll be with ADA, adherence and everything else. And I want everybody to be able to see, listen, or read any episode of the Quirky Dog their entire life. And let's talk a little bit about the quick links. Is that what they're called?
Yes.
Okay, so I haven't gotten here yet either. Cami did all her work, Chrissy did her commercial, and now Jess is behind. But it's okay, I'll get on it. So the Quirky Dog Podcast Instagram is actually going to be mirroring the episode log that we did, which I'm excited about as well. And I think we decided we're going to do all reels, so I got to go back through and figure out from each episode, like what little tidbit to pull for the reel for each episode. But then, like, sometimes you go and like you click on the bio of someone's Instagram and there's normally like a link tree, like something or whatever, but we're going to do quick links. So explain a little bit about how that works and how Wavoto also is involved with that.
Yeah, so this is another thing, another platform, If you have a website, you have one platform, email marketing is another platform, and then you want a link in your bio, and so you get Linktree, and you have all these different things you need to organize.
It's a lot. I get a lot of monthly things coming out of our bank account.
Yeah, and it adds up really fast.
Yes.
So with Wavoto, we provide you a quick links, which is a Linktree alternative. And that's included as one of the 4 pages that they have for the Quirky Dog. And the great thing about quick links is, I haven't told you this, but it'll be great for YouTube as well.
Oh, good.
Because if you change YouTube descriptions, say you have, a promotion change or something like that, links that need to be updated, if you change your description on YouTube, you kind of lose any leverage you've already gotten on YouTube. So you can use quick links instead. So you're sending them to one link, and all you're doing is updating that quick links on your website.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, good. See? Another plus. It just keeps getting better, I swear. So this project, this has been going on a bit. So you and Scott did a 5-pack together, or 4-pack together a while ago, and we did some trading just for SEO for our in-person business. And the site itself, I'd say, has been like in fruition for what, like 2 to 3 months or so?
That sounds about right.
So, and it's not that it's taken that long, it's just me getting thumbnails and everything else. But now that it's finally launched and everything else, you can see that like you can pull something up that looks great, that's very user-friendly to go through and see, whether you're on mobile or the computer or anything else. And it really gives you a full picture. So even other people that have a podcast or other businesses that have these types of things, it's nice to have your own platform for these things, right? Like when Facebook shut down, the whole world like lost their mind there for only a few hours, but it was really stressful for a lot of people that run their businesses just through Facebook. So we've taken that away from any other platform and made that our own, which is something we're proud of too, and that we want to keep doing, because it's important these days. If you're going to have your own community, you should be able to direct where they go and direct what happens there, as far as I'm concerned.
And own that community a little bit. If you have 10,000 followers on Facebook, Facebook disappears for a day, you just lost 10,000 followers. You don't have access to those people anymore.
They don't know where to find you. Yeah, exactly.
But if you have 10,000 followers on Facebook and you're regularly asking them to sign up for your newsletter, or you have an opt-in and you're using your quick links, or you're just using your website, then as soon as you have their contact information, you own their contact information. So if, heaven forbid, anything were to happen to the social media platforms you may use for community building, you still haven't lost that community.
Yeah. And we're big on community here. I'm going to even float this now. I was going to put a poll up, but if anybody has a suggestion, so I want to have like a 3-word tagline. I've been talking to Cami about this. I haven't even said this to Chrissy. So I want to do like dogs, laughs, community, but I think that's a little bit, I don't know, so-so. So if you guys have any ideas for our like 3 tagline underneath the Quirky Dog, go to the contact form while you're listening or within the next week. And I am going to do a poll at some point and get a few other things, but maybe somebody's listening right now and has an idea for that, because community is important to us, right? Like we want to build what we're preaching, who we're preaching to. Like we want them to feel like, hey, we're there for you. Like Scott and I are talking about in-person events as soon as like 2023, like getting things where it's like, if you are a Quirky Dogger, like we want you to be here with us, because it is important to have this like tribal, like in-person meetup still, because the online world has kind of taken that away, right? Like we just have friends that are like across the country through Facebook, or friends, so-called friends. It's important to meet up and get together, especially now that we're kind of moving on from COVID and everything else. So community is a huge deal for us, and we're excited to be able to host our community through Wavoto. Very, very proud.
Yeah.
All right, so what if somebody wanted somebody on the Wavoto staff to help build? Is that an option? Do you guys have like upcharges for that kind of thing?
There is an option. I don't have those prices off the top
Yeah,
of my
no,
head,
it's okay.
but you can easily go to the Wavoto website, so www.wavoto.com. I know it's going to be in the show link, so I'm not too concerned about that. And if you go to the pricing page, there is definitely a piece on that pricing page that talks about our done-for-you options. So whether you want to migrate a current site that you have over to Wavoto, or if you are looking to have, a brand new website, you have no idea where to get started with it, we can help you with that with our done-for-you program.
Yeah, and if somebody's just listening, sometimes people, when they hear things, they don't always click the links. It's Wavoto with an A and then 2 O's. So Wavoto. I learned that the hard way. I did it a lot of different ways, but it's AOO. So if you're listening, that's how you get to Wavoto, to find them directly. And the link that we provided, like I said, the 30-day free trial will really give people a good idea of what's going on when you get in there.
And it's actually in addition to the 14-day free trial we offer. So if
you can build your whole damn site.
You get in, you get your 14 days. If you choose a plan, you can put in the promo code Quirky30 and you'll get an additional 30 days to, work and build and figure out what you like or not about the platform.
Yeah, no, that's great. And as a company, you've been there for a pretty long time now.
Yeah.
It's a good community there too. You kind of get a good vibe. Like obviously you really like working within the company of Wavoto. And like I said, they're growing in kind of such a vast way. And a lot of things are changing right now in the cyber world, right? Like there's different price points going on, different political things going on. There's a lot of things happening. So make sure wherever you're hosting your site and whoever you're giving your money to, you really are backing that, because that's something that we're kind of noticing as well. And Wavoto has been super easy to work with, and I'm excited. $17 a month is like a steal.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. All right, anything that we've missed as far as the Wavoto fun or website building or your life or cute little Trixie? She's being such an angel with Scott. And Scott's really listening. He's not even on his phone. I'm so impressed.
Trixie's like, why did we come here?
Why are we here? Why aren't we hiking?
You ruined my nap time.
She's a very sweet Trixie. Any other tidbits that we've missed?
The only thing I would add is we are big on community at Wavoto as well. We have a Facebook group that's just for Wavoto users. And so when you get started with Wavoto, even if you're just on a trial, you're welcome to join that group and you can ask questions in that group and our community will respond, as well as I'm in that group. We have a couple other admins. So you have experts at your fingertips as well as other Wavoto users. And one last thing I want to add is where the name Wavoto comes from, because
good. I like this one.
It's a weird name. But it's based in the idea, we had a program called Overwhelmed to Online that internally we called OTO all the time. And so that's the end of Wavoto,
Okay,
is
I got it.
Overwhelmed
I like
to
that.
Online.
Yeah.
And the beginning of it, it's a wave. So you're riding the wave from being overwhelmed. If you've ever gone
I love
surfing,
that. Yeah.
when you first get up, you're like, this is scary. And then you catch it and you're like, oh, I got this.
I can settle in.
So that's what you're going to do on Wavoto. You're going to catch that wave. You're going to be terrified, but as soon as you get onto Wavoto, you're going to be like,
I can do
got
this. I can do this. It's true, because the overwhelm is a big deal in the online world. I did a lot of it. I've done a lot of platforms, a lot of webinars, a lot of learning about things. And when it gets too techy, it does get overwhelming.
Yes.
Yeah, I almost had a panic attack the first time I launched the first funnel on ClickFunnels. It's very stressful. So just give it a gander if you're not already familiar with it. Cami, thank you so much for all of your help with it. And just a few housekeeping things here. We've had a lot of guests the past few weeks. We're going to just be Scott and I live next week, and then some more guests. And Friday, we're relaunching an episode that was pulled down before. So we're going to have a bonus episode. It talks about how Gigi's alive and I sound crazy manic, and it was just after the Capitol attack. But we're relaunching another Audible on Friday because it accidentally got pulled down. So be sure to check that out. It's a 2-episode week. And in the meantime, keep it quirky. Thanks, Cami.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.